want to say thank you for showing up. I'm sorry that we were a little bit late. And if you just caught this now, this is Shane Schulz from Serenely Speaking and of Arisen Strength. We got a little bit of a late start. We're waiting on Crystal to try to get in. She seems to be having some technical difficulties, so we definitely wanted to try to get her in from the very beginning, but we're going to keep on trying to get her in, so don't worry about that. I've got Joey. Joey, you there?
I'm here. I'm here. Yeah, you were a little frozen there. Yeah, I couldn't hear you. You were a little frozen there. I didn't hear the introduction. I'm sorry. Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today?
Hello, all right. Joey. There's Joey, and then we've got Wayne the hacker. He is our producer.
I'm behind the scenes at the moment.
And he is behind the scenes at the moment. But Wayne, we want to greet you. Good evening, and how are you?
Thank you, Shane. Hello, Joey. Hello, Shane. Glad to be here. And hello, Crystal. If you can hear us. Yeah.
Crystal, I hope you can at least hear us.
And hello, boys and girls of America.
Yes.
And the rest of the world.
And the rest of the world. Okay, look, I'm not going to hide this. This has been a day, so we're gonna get through it, because that's what I would encourage anybody, who has anything to do with Arisen Strength, is that we know that there's going to be some struggling times. There's going to be struggling days, challenging days, but we can get through it. We are bigger than our challenges, and that's exactly what we're going to do with this show. Just to lead by example. So we will get through this. Tonight we're going to talk about bullying, and this is a show that we've been trying to do for a while now. We've had a few technical difficulties in regards to our video platform and everything like this. So we've been broadcasting it quite a bit, but it still is a subject that is very, very dear to me. It's one that impassions me because I, for one, despise bullying. I didn't like it when I was a kid, and I like it even less as an adult. So I know that there are plenty of people out there. I've actually talked with a few that are part of the Arisen Strength family, as well as other people that are outside in the JGF community and so forth. And they've come to me and they've spoken to me about some incidences that either they or their children had in regards to bullying. And that's why we're doing this show. We're tackling a tough subject right off the bat, because it's an ever-growing problem in this world. Because if you remember what bullying used to be, I remember as a kid, there used to be a movie that was called, Meet My Bodyguard. And, this movie was I believe Matt Damon's in it, and he is actually the bully in the movie. And, this is what bullying used to be. It used to be that you used to have two individuals that would be going, in opposite directions, and they're banging heads every once in a while. And somebody, the old saying would be is that they're going to take your milk money, or they're going to take your lunch, or whatever the case may be. And there would be a fight or something that would come out of it, and but it would be over, relatively quickly, and hopefully not ongoing. Well, that's not the case today. Bullying is something that has taken on a life of its own in so many different ways. And so I actually have Crystal on Skype now. Let me see if I can get Crystal. Answer the phone, she says. Anyways.
We're in the middle of a live show.
So we we definitely are against bullying when it comes to Arisen Strength. And I know that Wayne has had some situations personally. I know that Joey's had some situations personally, and Crystal has even talked to me. I personally have had a number of situations in my lifetime that was in regards to bullying. So we definitely, as a panel, are very familiar with this subject in a number of different ways, and it's something that we want to be able to bring our experiences, our strength, in order to be able to help another person out. That's what Arisen Strength is really all about. So I'm going to actually ask Wayne to tell us, your experience in regards to bullying, and because you got a few of them. So I know that you wanted to talk about one right off the bat.
It's going to be a little nightmare here. I don't know what's going on.
Is Crystal with us?
Shoot.
Crystal, are you with us? Oh my.
What?
I see Crystal.
Oh, yep. We see. And let's see. We give a little bit of a.
Joey, you've got a situation with bullying, do you not?
Oh yeah, I was bullied throughout grade school, also throughout middle school, and part of my high school days. I broke out of my shell in college, and it was just hard, just like you said with the lunch money, and the
I think you're still showing me to everybody.
yeah.
Now, go ahead.
And so I basically what I did was I found it within myself, to be positive, to be upbeat about things, and I think that I know. All right. So what it is that when there's different types of bullying, there's different types, and I was bullied like all over the place. I was bullied, forget about it. I was I was bullied on the internet. I was bullied, all over the place. Now I know how to fight these people. I know how to get back at them. I know how to internally in my mind, I know how to deal with that problem. That it was a major problem, to me, because, again, I was dealing with these people every day, every single day. They would spray Nair in my hair. One time in high school, they burnt my locker when my favorite shoes got burnt, Yeah. So yeah, I was bullied pretty bad. I mean, I even had to fight back sometimes and actually be aggressive where I don't like to be aggressive, but I had to show a point, and I'd punch a kid in the stomach, and then I would get a punch in the stomach, and then we would go to the dean's office, and so on and so forth, So it was more or less that I was basically fighting for my life, really. It was like times were just hard, I have to say. Times were just hard at that period of time, and it wasn't easy living. Now I totally know how to deal with them. I deal with them wholeheartedly on the internet all the time, and I know how to deal with people like the people that come after me, like the bullies, stuff like that. I'm a total anti-bullying guy. JGF is total anti-bullying. We don't believe in any type of bullying, whether it be work-related, school-related, or internet-related, or any other type of bullying. It could be verbal, could be physical, could be numerous types of things, when it comes to bullying, But to me, it was a tough life, tough, being a kid, having to be the little kid that sat in the back of the classroom that was quiet, and then come out of my shell in college and actually run for student government and be very active on various boards at St. John's, and really break out of my shell, and really come to fruition and show who I really am, and that's where the creativity and the imagination actually started, was St. John's. I wish it would continue, through my work, but then I got bullied at work too, so that's why I'd rather not go back to a 9-to-5 job. I'd rather do my own thing, and I'm proud that I'm doing my own thing, because I'm tired of being bullied and taken advantage of. It's time for Joe to shine, and it's time for all of us to shine, honestly. All of us that have been bullied, it's time for all of us to shine, because we all have special talents,
no, I
and we
agree.
should be able to use them. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I'll tell you, I have to admit right off the bat, as a young man, a young boy, I actually had my own bullying experience where I was the bully, and I didn't even realize it, to be honest with you, because what it was is that I had a next door neighbor who just had a motor that I couldn't keep up with. He would play like for hours on end, and he would come and he would just be really always wanting more. And in the meantime, while he's wanting more, of course, I'm willing to give it to him. And it was fun to an extent, but I wasn't, trying to be a bully. But now looking back on it, I definitely, was not acting the way that I should have. But as a kid, we do make our mistakes and so forth. I happen to know, and I happen to know that this young man is now turned into this fire chief, and he is significantly larger than I am. So he would absolutely wreck me. But I have to say this: I am extremely proud of him for doing the things that he's done, because he definitely rose above whatever it is that I put him through or anybody else put him through, because I know that quite a few people treated him a little bit differently, because he was always, like I said, he was always a high motor, and he was always keeps on coming after you. And he's turned out to be a fire chief and an outstanding individual. So, I'm going to admit right off the bat that I know that it's easy to get into these situations. Another experience in regards to my bullying was actually, I happened to be playing Monster Ball as a kid, and one of those things when children, they play everywhere, and we played everywhere and anywhere, at any time. And it was a rainy day, and we were playing Monster Ball, and which is a bat with a kickball basically. And make a long story short, this girl hit the ball, and I had it, and my arm was pretty good, and I happened to hit her just right to where it wiped her feet right out from underneath her, and she absolutely splayed out into this mud puddle. So I knew that this was not going to be good. So I turned around and I looked the other way, because I didn't want her to think that I was laughing at all. I was doing my best not to laugh, because I was brought up to be a gentleman, and so I did the best that I could. Meanwhile, everybody else laughed and made jokes and everything like this. Well, what happened was that the girl got up, picked up the aluminum bat. It wasn't even a wood bat. It was aluminum bat, and she comes and starts swinging the bat at me. And I'm like, okay, put the bat down, And I put my arm out, and when I put my arm out, she swung the bat and it cracked into my arm. And I've had a total of 4 broken arms in my lifetime. So I knew what it was like to have a broken arm. I knew my arm was broken. So I have to admit, I didn't treat it very right because I happened to take the bat away from her, a little bit too late, and then I pushed her, and she went down again into another mud puddle. So I was going home because I knew that I was going to have to go to the hospital to get my arm set because I knew my arm was broken. So I'm walking, and we're going through a field to get to the house, and next thing I know, I hear people laughing and joking and everything, but all of a sudden, she's running, and she hits me from behind. She just pushes me from behind. Well, what's my instincts? My instincts are going to be, put your arms out like this. And that's great, except for the fact when one's broken. So I ended up putting out my hands in order to stop me, and I ended up dislocating my elbow on top of the broken arm. So this is the reason why I bring it up. I was actually told by somebody who's very close to me that I got what I deserved. And so with that being the case, that really kind of affected me. It's like even to this day in some ways, because what that person was saying, and I'm sure they didn't realize it, but they were saying it's okay for somebody to be swinging a baseball bat at me, and that it was okay. This is just kids being kids. That's the difference here, is that when it comes to bullying, it's not kids being kids. It's not a situation as to where, well, we did this when we were kids. It's like, it's not that serious. It's not that, it's not something that really needs a whole lot of attention, That's not the case anymore. And with the way that bullying goes along today, there's some serious consequences. There's some serious results of bullying, and I know I've got one right across from me with Wayne. I know that Wayne has a story that he can tell, and you're going to find out what I mean.
Okay, great. Thanks, Shane. You have to select me. On the thing, because the mic won't pick up. Okay, you're gonna have to select me. I don't know if you did that or not.
I did.
Okay, because I don't see what you see. Yeah, when I was young, I really felt like I had no voice of my own, and I think maybe a lot of victims of bullies feel that they have no voice and they never have a voice. And just for whatever reason, I spent a lot of years not having a voice at home, and in some ways not feeling like I had a voice at school. So I guess maybe after a while I just kind of got real pent up, where I wanted to kind of express my voice. And this is and Joey kind of talked about having to fight back at some point in time. And for mine, it was really much ended up like an explosion. It was about probably 8th grade. I think that's what the year was. Yeah, it was 8th grade, and a kid hit me in the head with a wrench. He was a kid who was just not very friendly. I mean, I kind of knew who he was. Maybe he aggravated me. Maybe he bullied me. A lot of times it could be a mental distortion. Now I don't really have mental images of like that person bullied me and that person bullied me and that person bullied me, as much as I have this sense that I was always bullied, or just kind of felt like I had no voice. I was helpless in that sense. And he hit me in the head with a wrench at school, and it was in 8th grade. And that was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. But I didn't react right away from it. I really stewed on it for a long time, until 9th grade. And it was the next year in school one day, and he was sitting in the same row as I was in a seat, and I just had enough. And he was in front of me, a couple seats in front of me, 2 seats maybe, and it was old school desks, old-time school desks. You kind of wedged in with the seat and the desk or the vine, and came up from behind him. He didn't know I was there at all, and I just ended up started pounding his head into the desk, just because I just couldn't take it anymore. He wasn't bullying me that day. He probably had been bullying me maybe for a while, but it was the memory of the wrench on the head. It was a memory of just sort of never having a voice, being, you know, helpless, and hopelessness, learned helplessness, this kind of feeling. And when it came out, of course, it wasn't a pretty sight. I was, I don't know if lucky is the right word, because maybe I didn't get the help that I needed at that time, because maybe I was lucky I didn't get in a lot of trouble, but because it wasn't really taken serious what I did, because of who this kid was, he ended up getting suspended for X number of days, 3, 5, 7, I don't know how long he got suspended for. I had to eat lunch in the principal's office for a week. You know, I attacked him, you know, and he ended up getting suspended because of his reputation, and they knew that he deserved it, I guess, you know, in their minds. And then I was a good kid, so they, you know, kind of like a first offense, you know, eat lunch in the principal's office for a week. But that really left a mark on me, because it was, you know, I think we want kids to be able to stand up for themselves. We want them to be able to fight back, but you've also got to be able to fight back in a controllable way, in some sense. I mean, you know, maybe do it in a schoolyard where you know a teacher's going to break it up eventually. Or, you know, but this was a situation where this kid was really helpless and at my mercy until, and he did, you know, he suffered a lot of, you know, he got beat up pretty good because it was just his head bouncing off the desk, you know, face first to the desk, so it wasn't pretty. And that left a big mark on me. So very sensitive to bullying. Don't like it at all.
Well, I can imagine from that type of experience, and I really appreciate you telling the story, and I know that you got a couple more. I remember as a kid, I was playing baseball. I was kind of active in sports and stuff, so I was playing, and there was an older kid that was on the field, and he had a habit of bullying kids around, and I just happened to be one of them. And one day he just happened to you know, to push me around a little bit, and I lived in a small community area, and it was actually a trailer park out in my hometown, and he was pushing me around and everything. And I got to tell you, this is one of the more prouder moments that I have of my father, because here it is, I'm sitting there, and I'm being pushed around by this guy, and I'm getting closer. I'm moving back towards my house, right? And so it's like, so I'm sitting there, and I'm like, look, you better be careful because my father's home, and I'm trying to you know, be diplomatic in this, you know. It's like, I don't need a beating, you know. I just let's talk this out type of thing. And so anyways, I knew that my father was home, but the thing about my father is, just because his car is home doesn't mean that he's home to be available to rescue me. You know, he's either under a car, or he's at a friend's house, or whatever the case may be. They're trying to help somebody else. So I didn't know for sure, but I knew what I was going to try to get done here. And the kid ended up really kind of ignoring what I was saying, and he pushed me right against our front porch. And I remember, I'm like, look, you better be careful, because I'm telling you, my father's home and everything. And the kid realized that I had said that, you know, numerous times, and my father didn't come out to do anything. So I knew that I was in trouble. And so all of a sudden, I'm like, look, I'm telling you, and I look up, and over my head jumps my father. and my father's a big man. He's about 6'4", and he can get going. So he jumps over my head, over the staircase, and he gets down, and he gives the kid a few spankings, and phew, he's gone, you know. But that was one of those things as to where it was like, that's what bullying used to be like, you know. It was like, look, you know, stop with the nonsense. You know, you had your fun. Now you took your lump. Now go home. You know, and that's what bullying used to be. You know, back in that I remember as a kid. Unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't turn out to be that way now. Things are definitely getting a little bit. The end result and the breaking point of what bullying is nowadays is so much worse than what I remember. That it's just something that really is not to be even played with in any way. And Joey, do you have an example of what I'm talking about that happened with you?
Well, with me, you know, now it's internet, really. Now it's a lot of internet bullying, you know. You know, just last September, I had a group in a community that I am in that was bullying me and sending, you know, horrible messages to me, and you know, also calling me a fraud and sending out, you know, big orange posters of "you are a fraud," you know, posters out there. And meanwhile, I'm not any of these, you know. I'm not any of these at all, you know. So
Right.
what I don't understand, what I don't get, is why they have to do this. Do they have all the time in the world that they have to do this? I mean, so it's like, it's just weird, you know. So that went on for like a good 2 months, and then they stopped, and now they started up again. In another group that I was in, they started up again, you know, because they don't like me. For some apparent reason, they don't like me. You know, maybe I think it's because I'm popular and you know, so on and so forth. I think they're jealous, honestly, of me. You know, and I think that's the new thing, is now people are jealous of me. You know, back in school, you know, they didn't have anything to be jealous of me about, you know, because I was just a little kid in the back of the classroom. But now it's more or less that they're jealous of me and they want to get back at me for some apparent reason that I don't understand. You know, and it's like, why be jealous of me if you could be with me and work with me instead of work against me, you know? So I don't understand that. I don't get it, you know? But that's, you know, I could say that's my, you know, one of the times on the internet where I got bullied.
Yeah, you know, and you said it right. I mean, it's like, why do people, you know, see the need to do that? I have no idea. You know, and like I said, I think that the way that it used to be, you know, it was something as to where it was really just like, you know, like a turf thing. You know, you wanted to establish some sort of space that you know, in order to push somebody, you know, around a little bit, or, you know, exhibit a little bit. And it used to be the old saying is that, you know, the person who's doing the bullying is actually more insecure than the person that's being bullied.
That's right.
And you know, and that is still the case. You know, but it's also what I've also noticed is that you know, in situations where, like I said, the breaking point is just entirely different than what it used to be. Joey, you mentioned a cyberbullying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a name that is very common when people talk about suicide and when people talk about bullying. The name is Amanda Todd.
Yeah.
And you know, this young lady, you know, was very social, and she was used social media quite a bit, and she was very popular in school, and she ended up making a mistake, in which case she ended up disrobing a little bit on, I believe it was on the cell phone, you know,
Mm-hmm.
a camera.
Yeah.
And what happened is that people that are out there, and I hope that the people that you know, I hope somehow this gets to somebody that was involved. They had absolutely no remorse. They have absolutely no common decency
Mm-hmm.
to know where the breaking point is.
Mm-hmm.
They kept on sending this poor girl, you know, pictures of her mistake, and it's constant. And that's another thing in this world today, is that, you know, there's cameras everywhere, because everybody has a cell phone, and guess what? Everybody's got a camera on their cell phone, and that is where what was happening is that they continuously cyberbullied her. They texted her on a constant basis. They sat there and they would contact her on Twitter. They would contact her on Facebook, and it was getting to the point as to where this girl was getting worse and worse. She was getting more and more depressed. She felt more and more alienated. And, you know, it's like, so what ended up happening is that the bottom line, this young lady committed suicide. And she ended up drinking bleach, and she also ended up cutting herself in committing suicide. And if you look at some of the videos, because there's plenty of videos that she actually did on YouTube, is to where she was begging for people to stop. She was begging for people to stop harassing her to no end. This girl made a mistake, and what, you know what I mean, and it's for lack of a better word, I mean, this was a meaningless mistake, and this ended up being a very big part of the reason why this girl is no longer with us on this earth. And she's, you know, I mean, she sat there and she did video and video. And the reason why I bring this up is that when I looked at some of the videos that she did, I also look at the comments that are underneath. And anybody who does YouTube videos, there's comments that you can go ahead and you can put underneath. If you read these comments, you would think that she did something wrong. You would think that she was the creation of her own death, you know, because of the mistake that she made. And, you know, and people, you know, saying, you know, well, she should have gotten over it, and she should have, you know, moved on, and it's her own fault and everything like that. And you know what? People are sitting there saying that these things at the expense of another human being, and thinking it's okay. And that's what bullying's turning out to be. Yeah. Bullying is no longer just a a turf thing. Now, it's just at the expense of another human being. You know, whether it be their reputation or whether it be their life. And that's something that, you know, like you can tell. As my voice gets a little bit louder, I start getting a little bit more animated. This is the subject that bothers me, because for one thing, when it comes to Arisen Strength, nobody should have to be dealing with harassment. Nobody should be thought of lower than what they are. I tell people all day, every day, that they're bigger than the challenges that they face, the struggles that they face. And, you know, so it's like, when it comes to somebody who just totally ignores the common decency of a human being, that's something that gets me riled. So, you know, I'll say that right off the bat. So this young lady she commits suicide. Now, do you know that people are still, now this happened 2 years ago, people are still mentioning this girl as on those comments. They don't even care now that she's gone. They don't even care. They think that it's okay to continuously bully this girl even now that she's gone. And that, you know, and making it seem as if like it's okay. It's not okay. Bullying is not okay in any way. And I'll be the first one to tell you, and any bully that has any thought of thinking that I would say anything different to their face, they would be extremely wrong, because that's the way I am. I'm not somebody who pulls punches. I simply tell it the way that I feel. And that's the way that you're going to learn with Arisen Strength. Wayne, you also had another situation, right, in regards to bullying as you were a little bit older?
Yeah, when I was at college, I had a situation with a friend of mine, and I think he was a bit bullied over at his dorms where he lived. I knew him from campus, but I didn't know the dorm people he lived with in the dorms too well at his end. although I always got the sense that they picked on him. And I was over at his place one night, and, full disclosure, it was a night that we had been doing some drinking, and we were kind of passed out, and, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, whatever time kids pass out on weekends when they're college drinking. And his hall mates, and they weren't roommates, and we could live on the floor mates, said they were going to prank us. So, in their mind, it was a prank. To me, pranks are things that you pull on friends. And when it's all said and done, everybody has a laugh. Everybody enjoys it. It's not just it's not something that you do to somebody because you want that to embarrass them, or you want to make sure that they don't enjoy it.
Right.
That to me, that's what a prank is. And so this was certainly not that in my mind. But they pulled a prank on it, and it was another one of these moments where I snapped, and I had been pretty quiet since 9th grade, and so this is now about 4 years later in college. It was aided by the fact that I was really getting tired of the way they'd been treating my friend for several weeks or months. I had been drinking, so he that was true. So my decision-making capabilities were not the best. But there was also it was the straw that broke the camel's back again. Here's these people they think this is a good idea to do this, and they're not doing it because they like us. They're not doing it because they think we're going to laugh along with it when we're done. This is done, because they think they can do it and get away with it. And in that moment, I did fight back again, and I'm not good at fighting back. This was not a year later. This was in the moment. But this time it involved me grabbing a knife from the kitchen. It wasn't really a kitchen, but dorm room. There was a knife available. A kitchen knife was available, and one of the guys ended up getting a not a real deep cut, but more than a scratch on his face. And there was about 5 or 6 of them, as I recall, and they took to and beating me up pretty severely, because of what the situation being what it was. And I did have to go to the hospital, and I had to have surgery on both my eyes, and so I got a really good beat down out of it. And as far as consequences for it. One, I did get referred to some therapy. Probably not enough, but several sessions, 6 sessions of treatment. And there was no law involved. The police didn't show up. The campus police might have shown up, but there were no outside campus police. But the university didn't get involved, so the campus police must have been there at some point, because the decision came down to, and it went to like a student honor court, a student conduct court, and it was faculty student, more of a faculty board judges kind of thing. It was interesting, but their decision was that I had to move off campus. So I wasn't expelled from school. I wasn't suspended. From any out of school. It was just I had to move out of the dorm. So this happened after finals week. I think it was over Christmas break, and I'd already been talking with a friend of mine about getting an apartment. So it was like we decided to go ahead and pull the trigger on that. Say, let's get the apartment, because I got to move out of the dorms now anyway. So it didn't interfere with school. It didn't interfere with housing really. It was you're not welcome to live on campus, but I was allowed to go to the dorms. I could go to the halls. I could monitor the halls. I could visit people, that kind of thing. So again, one of these situations where if they looked at everything, they realized, they said, okay, well, people, you got your ass kicked basically, and shame the guy, they kept everything kind of minimized, I guess, and just sort of moved along a little bit, which is a little bit different than these zero tolerance policies that I see now. I mean, now that bullying is so bad, we have zero tolerance for any fighting or bullying, but the zero tolerance, they don't want to make any kind of distinction about who's bullying whom, or for the fighting, who's fighting whom. So you actually have situations now where kids who are bullied are getting the same punishment as the people who are bullying them.
Yeah.
So as a person who's being bullied, your best bet is to stay quiet. You don't want to go and start talking about it. You don't want to turn the other person in. because if you end up on we'll keep our eye on that. Now you end up in a fight. You can, as the person getting beat up, bear the wrath of these zero tolerance policies, and you can get suspended. And schools are even going their way out with bringing the police in, and kids are getting charged for fighting in schools. It's a whole new level. There's a whole new level of madness out there. It seems like, and the person who's being bullied, their voice is getting more and more silenced, and I think that's a disturbing trend.
I agree with you. It is a disturbing trend, and it gets even crazier when you start talking about. I'm going to say it. When you talk about ultimate fighting and mixed martial arts and everything like this. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you. I mean, I used to box. I used to throw hands a little bit. So I'm not against mixed martial arts. Here's what I'm against: is the fact that there's not a disclaimer that's in the beginning of the show that says the normal average individual should not be utilizing the moves and the holds of which is done within the show. And it's like, I know it's not, this is I mean, what's happening is that you've got people who are thinking that they are 10 foot tall and bulletproof, and they are utilizing moves and holds that they don't realize what they're doing. I remember seeing that there was a video that was going viral all over Facebook, and it happened to be of a young girl. I say young. She was, I don't know, high school, and a boy, and they were at a party, and they were doing their thing, and they started squaring off against one another, like they were going to fight, and it was but everybody was laughing about it and everything. There was not a big deal. Well, anyways, they started wrestling around, and the boy picked up the girl and landed her on the floor, and you could hear a thud, right? But he didn't slam her down. He basically just placed her there, and before he knew it, the girl got up, and you would have thought that he was fighting Ronda Rousey, you know what I mean? Because all of a sudden she jumps up, and she gets him in a sleeper hold around his neck, stands up, which gets him up, and then she lays down. And when she lays down, she ends up choking him out.
Whoa.
And what are the kids doing that are all around the room?
Taking it on.
They're sitting there cheering for her.
Mm-hmm.
They're cheering for this girl to knock this kid out. And as the video's going, I can see, because I've been in those types of situations, I can see the kid is literally starting to spasm. He's starting to have seizures while he's knocked out. Meanwhile, the girl has no interest whatsoever of letting go of this hold at all. And she's just arching her back, and he's already knocked out. He's got spittle coming out of his mouth and everything. And it was like, and here it is, people are encouraging this. And like I said, I'm not against mixed martial arts. I'm not against boxing. I'm not against, sports that are violent. I'm not. But you've got people who are out there who are utilizing these moves and these holds and not know what they're doing. And then there was another thing that wasn't that long ago, which was called the knockout game, where a person would leave their house with the intention of going up and knocking somebody out that has no idea that they're coming. They don't know their name. They don't know their address. In most cases, that's the way it's supposed to be. So they leave their house and they do this. Now, like I said, I've been in boxing. I've been knocked out, and I've knocked out people. The body does not like it. It's not something that it's supposed to happen, okay? And you've got people that are out there who are launching their body into a fist and punching somebody so hard that it knocks them out. Now, what are the consequences? Who knows? You knock somebody out, they fall. If you're on the street, they could hit their head on a curb. They could sit there. They could go into a seizure of their own. You know what I mean? This is the mentality of bullying now. Bullying is a brutal industry right now. It is something that is not, and we're only touching the tip of the iceberg. You know, I mean, and I'm going to say this: this show is not going to stop it, and we know that. If it brings any awareness whatsoever, then we're doing a good job. If it gives some strength to the people who watch this show, then that's what I want to do. I want them to understand that we know what bullying is all about, and that we don't advocate for it, and in fact, we support people who are against bullying and doing what it takes to do in a legal manner to be. Sometimes the punitive measures is, you know what? If somebody, I have no problem if somebody goes out and they have the intention of knocking somebody out and they end up hurting this person far past any beliefs that they thought that they were going to. I'm all for locking them up for a while. You know what I mean? I don't have a problem with it. You know, because this is ISIS. Look at our world today. You know, we've got in the military sense, we've got a group that's out there that is doing nothing but bullying, and they're sitting there and they're getting people in vulnerable situations, and they're exploiting their situation. And I'm not going to go into it because I don't want to be too graphic, and I don't want to be too overbearing here. But that is nothing but bullying, because nobody is stopping them. You know what I mean? But that's the mentality that needs to stop. You know, and how we're going to do it, I don't know. But I mean, just to know that there are people out there that can acknowledge what it is that people go through, that have been suppressed. When it comes to dreams and talents and capabilities that have been suppressed, there are people out there who were bullied to a point where this happens, because it not only changes their thing, it changes a person's life. My last situation that I'm going to talk about, I was actually taken advantage of sexually in a bullying aspect. I was at a homeless shelter. I was simply sleeping, and I was just basically, not even aware. I was just trying to get through the day, and next thing I know, I had two guys that came in at my bed, and next thing I know, I was taken advantage sexually. That's a bullying thing. That's something I will never forget. That's something of which they had no thought of what it is that I was going to go through for the rest of my life. That's the mentality that needs to stop. And that's why we took on this subject right away, because I can get geared up on it right off the bat. I don't need to read about a whole lot of things. I already have the experience. So if you're out there, and if you happen to be somebody who hears this and you bully, and you know you do, damn well stop. Because there's to a point as to where the game's over. Now we're talking serious. It's not something that's cool. It's not something that's funny. It's not something that's fun. It's something that is dangerous. It is something that's debilitating, and it's something that stays with a person. So that's what Arisen Strength is bringing to its people, is to know that we acknowledge that this does happen, and there is a reason why dreams, talents, and capabilities can be suppressed by this subject alone. And I know that we've gone a little bit, we've gone off the deep end a little bit, as far as time-wise and as far as everything. Joey, before we do our celebration regards to this episode, do you have something that you want to say?
Well, yeah. First of all, Shane seems very revved up by this topic. And I don't blame him. I was listening to him and Wayne and getting revved up myself, honestly, because, this subject really bothers me. It makes no sense to me It never will make any sense to me as to why it actually happens. It will never make sense because the people just have more time in the day that they don't have anything to do but bully somebody else. You know, they don't have anything, I guess, concrete in their lives to say, well, yeah, I got this to do today. No. Oh, you know what they have to do? Go on the internet and bully Joe today. We're going to bully Joe today and see how if we could get him off kilter or going nuts on the internet. And I'm very calm. I don't go nuts that much. You know, it's very infrequently do I go nuts publicly. I will in DM and PM and so on and so forth. I will take it out, I guess, on my staff or, you know, so on and so forth, but I will not take it out on the public and allow my public to see how I'm being bullied on the internet. But, ladies and gentlemen, always remember that the person being bullied will always get you back. You, the bully, will always be the loser. You'll be the loser in the situation because, number one, karma is going to come and get you, and number two, the bullyee is going to come and get you. Okay? And I think it's important to note that, you know, when these things come to a head and the bullyee can't stand it anymore, if they're weak enough, yes, they will commit suicide. They, you know, will take themselves off the internet. They will, you know, become non-existent. But if they're strong enough, like me and Shane and Wayne, we're going to come and get you, okay? Whether it be the internet, whether it be verbally or whatever, we're going to come and we're going to tell you how we feel about you coming to bully us, okay? So, again, ladies and gentlemen, not to fear. Okay, when you are being bullied, always fight back. Always fight back. And the zero tolerance thing, just like being politically correct, I don't believe in it. Okay, I don't believe in it, and I will never believe in it. Okay, if you are bullied, you fight back. Bottom line.
Thanks, Joey. Now, believe it or not, we actually have Crystal, of which has been with us for probably 10, 15 minutes.
Hello, Crystal.
Hi, Crystal. Hello, Crystal.
I mean, we don't have Crystal. We had Crystal.
We had Crystal, didn't we?
Yes, we did. What happened?
Yeah. Can y'all not hear me?
Are you there?
We hear you now.
Hear me now?
Yes.
Hear you now.
Okay. I had to take the earplugs out then, and I'm just going to have to speak through the computer, I suppose. Can you hear okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I just had like one thought coming just from the mind of a parent, and this is directed to the parents. Not to say that parents are to blame for children bullying, but I do believe that as a parent it's for your responsibility. As much cyberbullying is going on, and this is terrifying. It scares me to think about the kids that aren't reporting, you know, what's being said to them on the internet, and we know that's happening. But as a parent, it is your responsibility to help put a stop to this. Check what your children are receiving. Check what your children are typing out to their little friends. That's just being a responsible parent. And I think that you may be shocked and you may be surprised, and Lord knows what you may find, but that's part of your job. And if we can stop this bullying when they're young, get the bullies help, get the children help, I think that we can make a change in this. I think that we can in some way change this aspect and turn it around into a positive. But I truly do believe that this does start at home, and I think that as parents you're being terribly negligent if you do not do so, whether it is the internet, whether you do not intervene at school. But basically I just wanted to talk about the internet. Having two kids of my own, I know how easily bullied they were and could be, and wouldn't tell me at all if I hadn't gone back and checked messages. So I just wanted to add that in, since somehow or another we managed to get me on here.
And it was meant to be that way, because you just came back and you took it from a different standpoint, maybe not from somebody who actually was bullied, in the sense. So I mean, so taking it from that standpoint, and actually it's even more important, like you said, to get it when it's at an early age, in order to be able to stop it from starting and rolling. It definitely, it's funny how you should mention that, because we're going to go into our celebration moment, and I actually had one plan, but I decided I was going to change that, because I think that we're talking about people learning at an early age how to handle things and how not to handle things. And just yesterday on my page of Arisen Strength, the family of Arisen Strength, somebody actually, was it you, Wayne, that did the basketball?
Oh yeah, Dee's house. I'm gonna go out of my way, and I know this may not get to the young gentlemen who were part of this story, and but they deserve all the credit in the world. There was this basketball game that was going on, and it was a Lincoln Middle School basketball game, and they were in the middle of playing basketball, and the one team has the Kenosha team has a cheerleading squad, and on that cheerleading squad is Desiree Andrews. Now Desiree, I believe she has Down syndrome. So she, God bless her, she's arising from her challenges, right? I mean, she has Down syndrome, and yet she's out there cheering away, and everybody knows, that she actually says she wants to be famous, and I have no doubt she will be for a long time to come. And here she is, she's arising from her challenges and her struggles, and to just simply be a cheerleader. And she's enjoying the game, and everybody's playing, and then all of a sudden, from the stands, started coming some bullying tactics, some bullying statements that were directed to this poor young girl. And, if that, right then and there, my protective instincts jump up, and it's like, oh, I got to go help this girl. You know what? This time I don't have to. You know why? Because we had two outstanding young gentlemen who knew how to handle this situation, where they literally stopped the basketball game. They stopped the basketball game, they walked up the stairs, and they addressed the person that was bullying poor Desiree Andrews. And I got to tell you, they did it a lot better than I would have. You know what I mean? They did it in a way they just made it clear that it wasn't right, it wasn't fair, and they wished for it to stop. And as far as I know, it stopped relatively quickly. And these guys are now, Desiree Andrews, and these guys are definitely famous within their local area for the situation and for the right thing. School renamed the gym.
They renamed the gym Dee's House.
They have a sign out front.
Yep, for Desiree. So they have this ultimate, home field advantage now in Dee's House. And the way that we're going to end this show is that we're going to say thank you, and well done to the two young gentlemen, who I want to make sure that I got their names right. It's Chase Vasquez, and then it's Miles Rodriguez. And these two gentlemen, they stood up and they did the right thing.
They were in the middle of playing a game. They stopped their game to address the situation in the moment and address it as adults, as humans.
Yes.
Rationally, calmly, but firmly.
Right.
And they didn't wait until they finished the game. They didn't wait until it was the right time.
Right.
Because the right time is right now.
Yeah.
I think that was an important message in that.
And as a matter of fact, if you're hearing, when you're listening to this, if you're listening to it live, go ahead and say thank you or say something nice about these three. It's Desiree Andrews, as well as Chase Vasquez and Miles Rodriguez. Go ahead and say something nice because they definitely deserve it. They definitely deserve it.
Absolutely.
Because they did something. They did something that it wasn't only the right thing to do; it was the right way to do it. You know what I mean? They did something that was. They knew what was more important. They knew that what they were playing was a game. What was going. It was addressed. And now there was no other people getting involved, or no police or any nonsense. They addressed it like adults, and they got the situation handled. And I don't think anybody's going to be bothering Desiree Andrews anymore.
That's right.
And not to say that she can't take care of herself, because she fully has a spirit that is beyond anything
awesome.
that you could think of.
That's an awesome story. Yes.
That's like an example of positive peer pressure, though. Rather than peer pressure being negative, they're setting an example and putting the pressure on their peers to be just as good, just as human as they were. And so I'm so proud of these guys. This story just made me cry. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, and it is. I'm so proud of these young gentlemen because, it's like we need more. We need more of these type of examples in order to make things a change. Mm-hmm. And that's where, Arisen Strength, like I said, this is the tip of the iceberg. We know that we aren't getting, rid of bullying by any means, but we're doing our part. And guess what? We're going to do it again. I mean, we're going to have another show regards to bullying down the road because there's a whole lot of bullying that we didn't even talk about. And I hope that there's going to be another example of what these three people showed, in their situation. So, listen, I know that we ran a little bit over regards to our normal hour. I just want to say thank you for sticking with us. If you like the show, definitely let us know on the Arisen Strength. The Arisen Strength family is the group. We also have our page, of which is Arisen Strength. Definitely, just simply give us a like so that we know that we're doing things the right way. And my friend Wayne, he's a big advocate of learn, improve, share. And that's something that we do here as well. So definitely give us a like, give us a comment, let us know what it is that you think about the show. I know it's the first one, but it was definitely an impactful one, and it's one that this is something that you can expect this with all the different subjects that we talk about. Because this panel right here, can go through a lot of different challenges and struggles of which we've all gone through, and we have a lot of different strengths as well. So I want to say thank you to all my panel. Joey, I want to say thank you for coming. Crystal, you're a trooper. You definitely got, used Arisen Strength in order to get here at the end, and you kind of saved it, for me ranting on for another 15 minutes. So I appreciate that. And then Wayne the man, I appreciate you coming.
And thank you, Shane, and thank you, everybody. Thank you, Joey, Crystal.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. I'm sorry I couldn't get on sooner, but there's always next week.
As long as you plan on being here next week, that's what we'll go with. So I want to say thank you to everybody, and good night. And we know what you go through, and we're here to help.